What's going on, investors? That's here from Investments. Oh, let's make sure we get that mic good. All right. So it's been a long time since I've done one of these, so I imagine there's going to be a little bit of rust to shake off here, but we're just going to look at some, got a double screen going on here. Just going to look at some charts today, make a real quick, easy stream here as we get back into the swing of things. But basically, I've been watching these for the past month or two, since kind of like Christmas time, a little bit after that, maybe the start of the new year, because things are starting to shape up and show that they might be pivoting and turning around. So I think it's important that I make an effort to come back at this point, because I'm getting bored. I wanted to talk about this stuff. This stuff is exciting to me, and it's like, what else do I want to focus on? You know, like it's one of those things where in your life, it's something that you keep coming back to, and I keep like pulling back the charts up, and it's like, oh dude, is it happening yet? So I want to get back out here and start doing these streams again. I'm thinking to start, I'm probably going to do like 3 days a week, hopefully, maybe just like a half-hour stream around this time. But we'll see how that goes. Life gets in the way of that sometimes, but it's one of the things I want to make an effort to be more consistent with, and eventually maybe even do this continually. So I'm looking at what I have on my trading view right now, and some of this is like old school stuff that I'm not really looking at anymore, but we'll entertain these ideas, because I had been talking about these a long time ago, where we were looking at some of these charts, and the last time we were looking to see some of these, just we want to see these hit some of these all-time highs again, right? That's what we obviously want, and we were trying to isolate the ones that we thought were down here and potentially going to go higher. Well, when you look at a lot of these cryptos, regardless of what the name is that I'm looking at right now, who cares? They're all at these basement levels. They're all like super low levels. So these are like all-time low levels, where you're talking, okay, this was January 2020 where it made this low, and you are right above that. You're basically right at that same level. So this is across the board with a lot of these things, a lot of these cryptos, a lot of these stocks. There's a lot of them, they're still at these basement levels where your risk is so low on your entry. And if you think about like trading and investing, the ticket is buy low, sell high, right? And there's a lot of FOMO that happens around here, where everyone's like, oh, can I get in? Is it too late? Can I invest? What should I sink my money into? Well, you want to be looking around now, if not even a month ago, for these very, very low entries. So we're going to go through a couple of these here, and if you have any other ones that you want me to look at, you can leave them in the comments. I'm glad to take recommendations, because you tend to look at the things that are mostly in your vision, right? So I tend to like keep looking at the same charts every time. So yeah, if you have ones that you want me to look at, let's take a look at them. But one of the ones that I'm for sure going to look at is Theta, because no matter what, this is one of my long-term holds, and I'm not selling that bag, but I have taken positions to where I'd be willing to sell that portion of my position out, just as profit. So what I was looking at for this trade was, I was taking the swing high, and I was using the candle close on the weekly to the Fibonacci on the swing low here, and again using the candle close. And we were thinking, okay, a nice targeted area for this to retrace would be between the 382 and the 618, somewhere in this box, right? So we had drawn 3 different targets for where that could end up based on where it is right now. These things on the weekly chart, are looking really strong still. The dailies are getting a little wonky right now, where they're starting to show that they're pulling back, but they're reasonable pullbacks, and we'll zoom into that in a little bit. So yeah, as you can see, one of my targets I had was like 69%, and that was up to the 382. 113 was up to the 50% level, and 147 was at the 618 level. So these are like, this is a reasonable area for this to bounce to, and you're already talking about 113%. And you can see where I put my targets is below these lines, and the reason for that is because I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know if it's automated trading where it's bots or anything, but everyone can see these lines, right? Everyone knows these are there. So I want to front run these. I'm fine with taking 113% compared to 120%, right? Like it's not that big of a difference in the grand scheme of it if I'm able to capitalize on it, because sometimes you will see these candle wicks that'll go up there, and immediately when it touches it, it sells back down. So I want to be that person that's getting that order filled when that candle is going, not the wick, right? So that's why I set them a little lower than the exact levels of the 382, the 50, and the 618. So like I said, I wanted to look at the daily on this one just to show how it's not getting wonky, but they're starting to like not roll over on some of these, but they're right on that border of like looking like they might, right? So before I do that, let me show you what we're looking at for where I had this drawn to. So I was looking back in September 2020, this previous resistance level at about 80 cents before that major breakout, right? And I was saying that was an important level, very, very important level. And that whole breakout pattern, this whole structure right here is an important little resistance pre-breakout structure, right? So it's very important. And this high and this low is kind of like where I was seeing the range happening. I want to go to the daily to show it better. Yeah, so this is a little bit better. So you can see I was saying, okay, here was my high where it was previously resistance, and I was drawing this just being like, okay, well, that whole event kind of happened around this level. And you can see the importance of it as it correlates down to this time frame where you're looking at the current time frame where you're seeing, okay, that 70 cents ish level is an important level. Let's get more accurate with it. Yeah, thought someone was behind me. What are you doing? Just do what you gotta do. That's fine. Just be quick. So yeah, these were my important levels that I've drawn, and we're hoping for this turnaround. So let's look at the daily here, and we were seeing that some of these are starting to roll over, not doing too bad. Like you are still getting these. Here's a low, here's a higher low, higher low, higher low. Those are very poorly drawn, but you get the picture. Like each time this low is getting higher, which is exactly what you want to see. And in fact, we are on the daily time frame here still riding above this 200 EMA. So not looking bad at all on data, and I like what I see. I'm gonna skip over some stocks real quick, and let's look at a couple other cryptos. So Bitcoin on the daily, this is the one where you're starting to see, okay, well, is this rolling over, or is it starting to actually pivot? One of the things that we're seeing is if it's starting to turn around, again, you're gonna get that, here's your low back here, you're getting a higher low, which you would like to see. And if you pair that with a higher high, that'd be even better. But you go on to the weekly, and I mean, this still looks fantastic, right? And I mean, you get a pump like this, you're gonna expect to see a pullback. That's not unreasonable. So I don't think that's anything to worry about. And we're gonna do a fib retrace on this. So I did the candle wick close to the candle wick high here on this swing. And you can see we're already at the 236. So Fibonacci is validated. But you could again, like we just did with the what stock was that, or crypto? That was Theta that we were looking at. You could expect to see anywhere in this 382 level to the 618, and that'd be healthy, right? It's a reasonable expectation to see. So you could see something like this and come down and continue onward, and that would be fine. If it doesn't get to that level, that's just adding to the strength of it, in my opinion. So if we start to see this pivot and make a higher high and then continue, and maybe it comes down again but still makes a higher low, so this green supply line would be continue to be validated, I would say that's just adding to the strength of this at this time. So I don't think it's anything to worry about yet. So we'll just keep on looking at it and hoping that it does well. I did get stopped out of this one, I believe. I was trying to get a preemptive trade on here. Like, there was nothing about this that looked super great. It was one of those like, okay, I'm gonna take this risk here, and sometimes you do that, sometimes it's a loss, and you just got to set your risk for that, right? So I'll leave that on there. But again, I was seeing these basement levels. Like, look at this important level here of, I want to call it 6.5 cents, where it was resistance here before that breakout, right? It was resistance here, it was resistance around this area, but then it turned support here, and it's maintaining support. So I know I might have got stopped out preemptively. On the weekly, this looks fine. Again, there's probably nothing to worry about, but you know, you try to mitigate your risk with riskier plays like this. So yeah, pulled back to the 618 almost exactly. Not a bad time for me to reevaluate if this is something I think might continue onward, right? So we'll start to look for other items of interest that might tell you, might paint a picture for this, right? To say like, oh, okay, this is going to start turning around. So for instance, you got divergence here. Is you got a lower low, but your momentum is higher, and your higher low, but momentum is lower. So it's showing it's possible that 618 level is pretty good pullback. So potentially good to see. Couple other ones I want to look at. I want to look at Shiba, because that one is one I did take a long on because it looked pretty freaking great. One of the things I did like about this is this long structure of a nice long pullback, right? It wasn't something that's just like, oh, immediate crash and then like nothing, right? So you get these pumps, plus you got the long drawn out structure of this, like, I don't know, reshaping of, hey, I'm getting to these important critical low levels here, and I'm going to do something off there. And it looks great still. Even on the daily, it's not so bad. You can tell you're still getting higher lows, right? So these lows keep building, and they're stair-stepping, and they're ratcheting up every time. Weekly looks good still. Like, again, nothing in this, oops, I moved my line there, tells me that this pullback is a problem, right? So we went down to from the swing low to the swing high, the fib, we went down to we only hit the 50%. So you could potentially see even more downside, but if it doesn't, that's even better. Looking like it's starting to hit support here at this level at about, I don't even know what the hell you'd call it, 1,248 Satoshis. I gotta get better with the kind of terminology. Yeah, so one of the ones I'm just kind of sitting in, got it at the basement level, so we'll see what happens with that. Then I took 2 new trades today, and one of them is PAA, which is a gas pipeline company, I believe. So I'm going to zoom out to the weekly and just show what I was seeing here. And this is like a huge structure that I was observing. And I'm not big on Elliott waves, so don't put too much weight into this. But what I was seeing is a pretty clearly defined Elliott wave, right? Like you got the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. And then you got the ABC correction, right? Now, I want to, before I go into what this is, again, what are we seeing? Basement levels. So this level that was seen in March 2020 was last seen in November 1999. So this has not been to these levels in a very long time, and you can tell it even gapped down before. Look at this massive run, right? So like you would love to be able to pick this up here, right? Because you buy low, sell high. You're having an opportunity to do something similar in this situation right here. So go ahead, do what you gotta do, honey. So yeah, so we were seeing this structure, and I was thinking, okay, well, that is a key level, so let's place our bets. And then you were seeing this this wedge, this triangle, I forget the exact name, but basically what you're seeing is you're seeing a flat line on the top, and the lower highs just keep happening, and eventually you either get a break to the upside or the downside. Typically you want to see higher volume on the buy side coming in towards the tail end of this, and that indicates that it might be breaking up. So when it does break out, you want higher volume to push that up. So you should be able to see that. And one of the things you're seeing with this on this tail end, you're seeing a good amount of green bars, right? Like you're seeing these high levels of green volume. So one of the ones I did take a nice gamble on in the past couple days, and I was looking for a breakout of this green line here. So you see a couple important things. You see this overall structure at these basement lows, plus you're riding on the 200 EMA, then plus you're seeing the breakout, and I'll zoom into this in a second. So yeah, it just looked good to me. And one of the things you would do with this kind of structure is to do your measured move. You would take this swing low to this swing high, and you would copy this, and then you would basically paste it and drag it over. Oops. Oh, grab the wrong one. Paste it, drag it over here, right? And that would tell you, okay, you're looking at a potential 59, 60% return. Again, I like to short change mine a little bit because I want to be the guy that's selling before it hits that candle wick and then like pulls back, right? Because a lot of times you hit these important levels and then it just momentarily does it. I want to be the guy that's sold out of that before that all happens. So yeah, I was looking at this level here with potentially a 50% return, and I said I'll do another one at 23, and I don't remember why I said that. Did it have something to do with the fib? I did the swing low, or the swing high to the swing low. What did I do here? Was it the weekly? Let's take a look. I got a lot of shit drawn on this chart right now. Okay, weekly to the candle close. And you were seeing, let's do this one. Yes, so it was up to the 3. 382. So 382 in the 50% level, and then again you could even set a third target at the 618 if you really wanted to, and that would be 75% return, something like that. It's being a little more conservative. I think overall this is going to be a bigger structure. I don't think this is going to be an immediate, like, this is one you're going to want to sit in. So I don't think I'm going to scale out of all my position when we do end up selling at these levels, right? Because again, we're buying at these basement levels. I would love to be selling a little bit up here if that's possible. So sell a good amount, get some profit, and then hold a little bit till we get to something up in these levels. It's always nice to play with the house's money. Then you don't have to worry about making these important moves, or like you're basically riding for free. Another important one I was looking, I'll go to the other one I traded. Nokia today, and I did this because I had some information presented to me about them building out infrastructure in Africa, telecommunications infrastructure. Then I looked at the chart and I was like, you know what? You're looking at, again, really basement levels. Like, look at this time frame. So you're looking at 1995, where it was hitting at support in 1995. Then again, it's kind of resistance here. Like, let's really zoom into this here. So yeah, it was used as support in 95. Then it was also resistance in 97, and then support again in 97. So you can tell this level is a very important level, and it's at $4.03. Very important level. And then you can see we're basically right there again. So you got one touch right here. You got it riding around on this level here. And then you got it bouncing again right here. And you are starting to see an inverse head and shoulders pattern emerging, right? So you got the shoulder, the neck, the shoulder, the head, and the shoulder. And then you would see the neckline right here. So a little preemptive on this, you would like to play this on the breakout of the neckline, I think. Oops, wrong tool. Let's just throw something out here. And this is obviously ridiculous, but yeah. So that's when you would like to make this play. I did it a little preemptively. Just saying, with a lot of these low risk entry options, like, what is the worst that it's gonna do, right? Like, are we gonna go back down to this $2 level? I made a small bet with it, so it's like, if I lose that, I guess not too bad. But it's so low of risk compared to something like buying up here, where you're like, okay, is this gonna continue onward to 40 when I'm at 20? Well, look at all that loss you could potentially have. Like, 20 down to $2 is significant loss. You know, $4 to $2 is not as substantial. So yeah, that was another one that I was looking at. And then one that I'm looking to get into is, I want to get into some of these chip manufacturing ones, because I feel like fundamentally the US is going to be trying to build this infrastructure abroad, or at home, basically. So they're going to want to move a lot of this to the US. And I think there is bills out to support this. And I think Intel, NVIDIA, and AMD are going to be some of the biggest recipients of, like, hey, we need these chips, we need them manufactured in the US. What do we got to do that? How can we subsidize that? And I think that is just going to make these companies fantastic ones to own in the next couple of years as that happens, right? Because we're going to prioritize that. And it's kind of like one of those decisions where it's not fully market driven, where it's like regulation driven. But yeah, so what I was seeing was again, important level at 2450, right? You had multiple touches here, and I circled every single one. So I just wanted to emphasize how important this level is for 2462. It's the exact number. Dating back to 1997, 99, 2001. I mean, it every couple of years it hits this level apparently. And we are at that level again. And what we're seeing is we're forming a nice double bottom with a higher low this time. Let's go to the daily and look at this structure. So you can see you hit that level exactly here, and then you are making a higher low here. So that's again what you like to see. However, I have held off on this because I want to see higher highs too. So one of the things, I'm going to delete some of these other lines here just for clarity. One of the things you want to see is you want to see it break the previous high to tell you that, hey, it's actually doing something. It's not just gonna roll over and falter here. A couple things I do like about this at this point is you getting increased buy volume showing up. Then did I see something else? Yeah, you're getting some divergence as well appearing on the MACD. So also, yeah. So I'd like to see it break out above that $31 level, $31.50. That'd be a good sign for me. I would really like that. And then we'll do a little fib retrace and see what's reasonable. We are not at, let's do weekly and see if we can find a higher level. Okay, let's go to a different one here. So from that swing high to that swing low, we are at about, or we did hit that 23.6. Did we hit it? No, that's my line. So I would say fib is not valid yet until we break above that level. But if we do see that again, you can make some nice easy targets in that 618 to 382 box, right? So these would be some nice targets in here, which you would be looking at if you waited for this. You'd be looking at nice 20% or 30%, but I think the real gains are going to come in the longer time frames as you look out at these being basement levels and you potentially make a run for these higher values where it was previous. Okay, so does anyone have any other ones for me to look at? If you're watching this on the live stream, feel free to drop it in the chat. If you are watching this and not live, I guess, feel free to leave it in the comments and I will look at it tomorrow or the next time I do this live stream, and just gives me a different couple ones to look at. It's always nice because otherwise you end up looking at the same freaking charts every single time. Amazon, I was seeing, this will be the last one I do here. Amazon, I was seeing this important level at, okay, before I get into this, Amazon is a wacky chart just because they had that stock split. So when I talk about it, these levels seem very odd to me. Like 80 was not what it was a couple months ago. It was like you were looking at a couple $1,000s. I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000 at this peak. So it's weird to see, but $80 was this important level. It was previously resistance here and then held as support, another touch as support. And it's showing that it's pivoting at that point, right? a key zone where it's just bouncing off and saying, okay, we're going to respect this as support and we're going to continue onward. One of the things I was seeing was a potential broadening wedge on Amazon. To play this, you would like to see it break out above this line, right above this top supply line, and then your profit zone would be at the top of the line. So you would be looking at, let's see, if you broke out where you're at right now, let's say potentially 70%. And I mean, realistically, you're probably not going to catch it right away. So you could set your stop loss while you drop into that level, so you know if it's dropping back into that broadening wedge, you're failing that. But yeah, you're looking at 50-60% potentially. Dollar index looking not too bad. Getting higher lows. Okay, but you're getting a nice pullback, so that's decent. Yeah, that's all I got today. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment, leave a like. Be glad to get some feedback on the stream. Tell me what you thought. Again, I'd like to start getting into these. I'm thinking about doing 3 weekly-ish. I don't know what that will look like in the future. If it will all just be a TA where I look at these charts, or if it's going to be a more show format where I have different segments where I could talk about other things, because when you start talking about investments and stuff, you're not only talking about stocks, you're not only talking about charts and stuff. There's a lot more to it. There's mindset involved, there's budgeting involved, there's other things. So I'd like to get into some of that as well. So yep,